Good evening. It is Friday, June 4th, 2021. We're continuing to look at the heroes of the faith mentioned in Hebrews 11, specifically finishing our look at Abraham. The previous passage referred to the faith of Abraham and Sarah while waiting for a child and heir, and the promise of God to make Abraham a father of nations. In Hebrews chapter 11, verses 13 to 19, and I'm reading from the New Living Translation, second edition, we see all these people died still believing what God had promised them. They did not receive what was promised, but they saw it all from a distance and welcomed it. They agreed that they were foreigners and nomads here on earth. Obviously, people who say such things are looking forward to a country they can call their own. If they'd longed for the country they came from, they could have gone back. But they were looking for a better place, a heavenly homeland. That is why God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he was prepared a city for them. It was by faith that Abraham offered Isaac as a sacrifice when God was testing him. Abraham, who had received God's promises, was ready to sacrifice his only son, Isaac, even though God had told him, Isaac is the son through whom your descendants will be counted. Abraham reasoned that if God died, God was able to bring him back to life again. And in a sense, Abraham did receive his son back from the dead. The author of Hebrews here discusses faith as a looking forward to something better. Faith includes a certain amount of optimism. All of these died before their final promises were fulfilled, and they died still expecting the promise. We're too much of an instant society. We get frustrated when the microwave will not heat the water fast enough for instant coffee. We expect Amazon to deliver by drone within hours of ordering something. But faith takes the long look. Faith endures. Abraham and Sarah waited years for that first son and never saw the multitudes. Their knees were too old and arthritic to bounce the grandchildren, much less all of their other descendants. They saw it from a distance. They took the long look. They agreed that their time on earth was a temporary sojourn as temporary residents, not their final destination. We do have a view of heaven to look forward to. Revelation 21 verses 1 and 2 says, "Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the old heaven and the old earth had disappeared, and the sea was also gone. And I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven like a bride beautifully dressed for her husband." Faith includes a long look to the future of heaven. We may be in the midst of terrible turmoil here on this wicked earth, but our faith informs us that we have a new home, a beautiful home, an eternal home waiting for us. Then we see that it's faith that allowed Abraham to offer Isaac. This was a unique test for a unique man recorded in Genesis chapter 22. It's an interesting read. Abraham trusted God for years. Then after the promised son was born, his sacrifice was asked for. God provided a ram for the offering, and Abraham's words to Isaac that God would provide proved true. Faith is the strong confidence that God will provide. One of the places we experience our greatest doubts is in the area of God's provision. We have to renew that faith daily that God will provide, because new needs come up daily. Jesus taught us to pray, "Give us this day our daily bread." When you talk to one of the senior saints who've known and followed God for decades, ask them about their stories of how God has provided. All of the senior saints will have a time where they recognized God's provision in an unexpected way. The newer believers struggle to believe in God's provision. But as you trust and grow, your trust will grow. Faith is the hope of a better home in heaven, barely glimpsed, and a renewed trust in God's provision every single day. May you be faithful as God has promised. God bless you.